So in previous session, we have seen, wait a minute. What is the syntax and semantic? So syntax is nothing but a grammar. Any language must be followed by a grammar. And semantic is what is the meaning of that language. For example, some sentences are syntactically correct, but semantically wrong. And that's why we get some logical errors. So we are going to see what is the syntax and semantics in this topic. So example of syntax is say DDMMYY, the syntax of how you have to put the date. For example, D stands for digit here. So two digits followed by space, a backslash, then again two digits followed by backslash and four digits. So this format, or this is the structure which is exactly matching with the syntax. But this is also the another syntax for date. This is another syntax for date, but this is not matching with the syntax. So for this particular string or this particular string, you may get a syntax error. So in case, what is organization of language description? We have seen several styles of language description. For example, tutorial. It provides impression of what the main construct of languages are and how they are meant to use it. Then manuals, which describe the syntax and semantics of the language. And formal definition, it's a precise description of a syntax and semantics of a language. So we are concentrating on formal definitions here. So in previous session, we have seen expression notations, how we can combine operators and operands to write expression. And we have seen three different types of notations, infix, prefix, and postfix. And there is one more, which is called mixfix. So in case of infix, operator comes in between operands. So this is operand 1 operator, and this is operand 2, operand plus operator. Operand, operator, operand. In prefix form, operator comes first, then operand, operand. So A plus B can be converted to infix form like plus AB. And postfix, operator comes at the end, operand, operand, and then operator, AB plus. We have seen how we can convert these infix expressions to prefix and postfix in previous session. With this, I want you to solve one expression, convert it to prefix and postfix. Board is visible? So how to convert b square minus 4ac to expression? For square, we are using raised to operator, b raised to 2 minus 4 into a into c. So this is the expression, convert it to prefix and postfix. Is it visible? Is b square minus 4ac, b raised to operator or for operator 2 minus 4 star a star c. Expression is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yes, convert it to prefix and postfix. Done? You can type in a chat box or unmute and tell me what is the prefix form of this expression. Okay. Which operator is having highest priority, star or raise to?
Raise to. Raise to.
Correct. In case of prefix, b raised to 2 will be converted to raised to b2. Then these are having same priority, but associativity is from left to right. So 4 into 8 will be solved first. So this is 4a, and then star c. So this star 4ac. And what about this minus? It will come. So output is minus raised to b square star 4ac, correct. So this is about prefix. What about postfix? In case of postfix, operator should go at the end. So b2 raised to, then 4a star, then c star, and then this minus of this. So this is postfix, correct? Yes, Apurva. b2 raised to 4a star c star. Very good, girls. In case of mixed fix, expression do not fit neatly with prefix, postfix and infix classification. For example, we have seen if expression, then statement, else statement. We talked about precedence and associativity in the previous session. So let's talk about what is abstract syntax tree. So as the name says, it's a tree and abstract syntax tree. So syntax is shown in abstract format. Abstract syntax tree is a language identifier. It identifies meaningful components of each construct in the language. For example, expression A plus B can be shown by a tree plus A and B. So plus is the node and A and B, these are the leaves. So let's convert this expression to an abstract syntax tree. So for that, I'm using postfix form. What is postfix form? B2 raised to operator, then 4a star, c star and minus. So how to convert an expression to an abstract syntax tree? So just create a node. For B, create a node B. Till you get an operator, you have to create nodes. So this is one node B. Then next, you have to read this string from left to right. You have to read this string from left to right. First node is B. Then it is 2. Now this is an operator. This is the operator. So add these two nodes into an operator. So now this is one more node. Then next node is 4. We use the proper space. So I'm reading this string from left to right. For leftmost node, I'm creating a node B. Is operand. For every operand, you have to create a node, and for operator, you have to create a innermost node. So B, then 2, then there is an operator. So add these two nodes here. So now this is, so we can call it as 1, 2, and 3. So initially we have 1 and 2 in our stack. We pop these two with raise to operator and add it here. So now In V stack we have 3. That means this node. Now again there is an operand, create one more node. Operand, create one more node. Then there is an operator. So for this operator, so here we have this node 4 and 5. So node 4 and 5, and for operator we have to pop this 4 and 5 and create a tree. And this node is suppose 6. So instead of 4 and 5, it is 6. So now these are our nodes. Then we have C. So create one more node C. And this is 7th node. So put 7 in our stack. Next operator is star. So for this star, pop first 2, that is 6 and 7, and create a tree. And this is our 8th node. So instead of 6, 7, now we have 8 in a stack. And for this operator, create a node with this and this. So you get abstract syntax tree of 9 nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can convert expression to abstract syntax tree. You can use infix or prefix or postfix notation. You will get the same syntax tree or abstract syntax tree. Yes?
Ma'am, in the postfix of this expression, why is it not 4ac asterisk asterisk?
Yeah, asterisk asterisk is why? Which one?
In the postfix of this expression, ma'am, you said it is 4a asterisk c asterisk minus.
Yeah.
Why is it not 4ac asterisk asterisk minus?
Okay, let me explain you. You want it should be 4ac asterisk asterisk and minus. So meaning of this expression is say you create a node for 4 a c. Then this for first asterisk 4 into a, then into c. So it will be say 4a, 4 star a star c. It will produce the same expression. But as see here, what it is doing, a star c. It is performing, our expression is 4 raised to 2 b square minus 4ac. So our expression is b raised to 2. I'll just show you about 4 into a into c. So what this expression is doing, it is performing a star c first and then 4 into a. Both either you solve this way or you solve this way. 4a and then c.
Ma'am,
Both the syntax tree will give you the same output. It will solve this expression and you'll get the same output. But we have these two different syntax trees. And this syntax tree is performing a star c first and then multiplied by 4. And in this case, it is performing 4 star a and then again star c. So which one is correct?
Visible.
It should perform 4 star a first. Either, okay, here it is visible, 4 star a and then multiply it with c. Or what you can do is, here 4, you can have here star and then AC. Now this syntax tree is performing A multiplied by C first and then 4 star remaining part. So which one is correct? First one or this one?
first one.
First one, because in previous session we have talked about associativity. Let me go back. Here, associativity, 4 minus 2 minus 1. Here minus operator is used and it has same priority. Either you can do 4 minus 2 or 2 minus 1. So which one is correct? 4 minus 2 minus 1? That is, answer should be 1 or 3 here.
1.
4 minus 2, that is 2 minus 1, 1. 1 should be the correct answer. If you solve like this, minus 2 minus 1, that is minus 3. Sorry, 2 minus 1, which is 1, and then 4 minus 1, which is 3. So when there is we are using same priority operators in the expression, we are not using the brackets. You have to talk about associativity. The expression should be solved from left to right or right to left. Most of the operators are left associative. That is, you have to solve it from left hand side. 4 minus 2 first and then 2 minus 1, or whatever the answer, minus 1. Otherwise, you will get the wrong answer. Here, exponential operator or power operator has the only right associativity. All other operators, star, slash, that is multiplication, division, plus, minus, are left associative. You have to solve it from left to right. So in this example, this one is wrong. So what we have to do is we have to solve 4 into A, and then whatever that answer is into C.
Okay, ma'am, got it now.
So you understood what is abstract syntax tree here? Operator and operands. You can show an expression in the tree format. So what is the better grammar? It should have only one abstract syntax tree. If you are getting more than one abstract syntax tree for the same grammar or for the same string, it is ambiguity, and you have to resolve it. You have to choose correct syntax tree depending upon associativity and precedence. So this is the tree representation. Tree consists of a node with k is greater than 0. Uh, k is equal to 0 minus tree with only nodes, no children. A node with no children is called leaf node. For example, this last line where we didn't have any children, so these are leaf nodes. And if it has a root of a tree is a node with no parent. So topmost node is called root node. Here minus s are topmost node. If it is not a child of any node. So this is called parent node. These are called leaf nodes. And all other inner nodes must be operators in this case. So this is the actual expression, b square minus 4ac. So instead of b square, they have used b into b. So b into b minus 4ac is our expression minus expression 2, e1 minus e2. So we are just looking at it as e1, which is b into b, and e2, 4 into a into c. These are two expressions, minus sign. Then what is e1? E1 is b into b. What is e2? E2 is 4 into a into c. Again, this 4 into a into c has two operators. So let's divide it into e1 star e2. Here e1 is 4 into a. We have to solve 4 into a first and then into c. So in this way, this is our correct syntax tree. 4 into a into c, and then b star b and subtraction. So you can match your answers with prefix, infix, and postfix form. So suppose you have to draw an abstract syntax tree for if then else. For example, if the syntax is if condition, that is a less than b or whatever the expression is, then statement 1 can be a block of statement or a single statement, say a else b. So how to draw syntax tree for this type of statement, if statement? So here if then else is our operator. Then if condition is less than A less than B, so this condition should be solved first, then A part. If the condition is true, then we will solve A part, otherwise B part. This is clear. What is abstract syntax tree, infix, prefix, and postfix?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we'll see what is lexical syntax. Lexical means grammar, means how we scan, what we look, we want computer should read that. So suppose I am writing a program, hash include stdio.h, main, opening a bracket, closing bracket. Then say integer a is equal to 10. So computer should understand that I am declaring a variable of type integer, I am assigning it an integer value. So we want computer should understand what we have written. So for that, first step is lexical syntax. The syntax of programming language is specified in terms of tokens. It is also called terminals. So like for any language, we start with the characters. What are the character set of that language? For example, in case of English, we talk about A, B, C, D. Or in case of Marathi, we talk about A, E, E. And then after getting familiar with the character, we are getting familiar with the words in the language. So in programming language, what are the words these words are called tokens or terminal symbols. For example, in this case, for example, b square minus 4ac, we'll stick with that example. We know that B is identifier or B is a variable, raise 2 is operator, 2 is a number, but how will computer understands that? So computer, we have to write grammar, and we want computer should understand that this is a variable, or we can call it as identifier. This is operator. This is a digit or number. This is also operator. This is a number. This is operator, identifier, then operator, and this is identifier. So this identifier 1, identifier 2, identifier 3, or we can write here identifier B, then A and C. And these operators, raise to is an operator, dash subtraction is an operator, 4 is a number. So converting user program into lexical syntax means understanding which are the numbers, which are the operators, or understanding basic words of the language is called lexical analysis or scanning. So lexical syntax of a language specifies correspondence between written representation of a language and the token in a grammar of a language. So we are talking in terms of grammar language. So alphabetical sequence units are called keywords. Here they are using word keyword or a name, or here I have used identifier. So occurrence of a token using these names for names and the token number for integers. And note that compiler or any translator ignores white spaces, new line characters, comments, which are not executable part. So it starts with the executable statements only. So in this case, b square minus 4ac is converted into lexical syntax as b is understood as name, then star, name, this is number, name, and these are the operators. So what are the tokens? So here, what are the tokens here? Name is a token, number is a token, right? And what is this b minus 4ac? In a programming language, in our source code, whatever the code we write, it is called lexeme. Lexeme, lexeme. And that lexeme or your source program is converted to the tokens, so that it is converted to the grammar, and language will check whether this statement is syntactically correct or not. So grammar for programming language are often written in BNF form. So there are different forms in which we can write a grammar. So BNF, which is called Backus-Naur form, is mainly used to write languages for programming, grammar for programming languages. So variables are words in these triangular brackets. Example here, terminals are often multi-character using string indicated by boldface or underline. So terminals, now here we have used word terminal. Terminals are nothing but the token. So either we can write identifier, operator or number in capital case, or while is also token, which is the part of a language, but it's a while loop. So we have to write it in capital letter. So the grammar for language impose hierarchical structure which is called parse tree. We'll come to this parse tree later. In this parse tree, all leaf nodes have a terminals or empty string. Interior nodes must be non-terminals and node are based on productions. So what are the terminals, non-terminals we'll talk about. CFG is another form of language grammar which is called context-free grammar. So these are the notations for specifying concrete syntax. So we have to write a grammar as a set of recursive rewriting rules, which is called productions, and to generate patterns or a string. So CFG, in a CFG, this is the definition. First, it should have set of symbols or tokens, then a set of non-terminal symbols. Non-terminal symbols can be replaced by the tokens. Then set of production rules and the start symbol, which is a special symbol, which is special non-terminal symbol. So let me explain you CFG with one example. So this is a grammar for arithmetic expression. I want to put b square minus ac. I'll write one more expression. So this type of grammar is called context-free grammar. Now here, what is a context-free grammar? Set of terminal symbols. So here terminal symbols are ID and num. ID, which is in capital S, ID means identifier or name, num is digit or number. So these are terminal symbols. So set of terminal symbols here, we can call is as T, which is ID, comma, num. Now what is set of non-terminal symbols? Here I am using only one non-terminal symbol, capital E. Then set of productions. So I have these 5 productions. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are 5 production rules. So this is a set of productions and a start symbol. Now here start symbol is also E, capital E. Now I have to write or construct a parse tree like this. This is called parse tree. I have to construct a parse tree with this production rules. For this string, b square minus 4ac. Our string is b square minus 4ac. So we have to start with the start symbol E. We have to choose any rule from all these rules. So we will use first rule. So what is this rule? E raised to E. So it is E raised to E. Now this E is what? Identifier or in bracket B. This language has already converted it to identifier, number. So it is matching with this identifier. Then raised to E. Here, this E is nothing but E minus E. E minus E. We have to choose one rule, production rule from the set of rules, E minus E. Then we have E star E. So here E star E is again E star E. Oh, sorry. Initially, I have to choose, we have to start with the start symbol, then choose a production here. I am choosing this third production, E minus E. This is E minus E. Then this is E raised to E. And this is identifier. And this is number. This is E star E. This is E star E. This E is identifier, sorry, it's a number 4. Then ID A and this ID. Which production to choose? We have to start with the start symbol. Then out of these productions, we have to choose depending upon the string, associativity and precedence. So what is a CFG? It is a grammar which has a set of terminals. Terminals are what we have seen, words in the language or tokens. Non-terminals, yes.
Ma'am, the first parse tree which you had drawn, was it the correct one or both are correct?
Which one?
Ma'am, this parse tree, you had drawn one
No.
earlier.
This one is correct. First one was not correct.
Okay, ma'am, but according to precedence,
This will be this tree will be evaluated from left to right.
Oh,
You
yes,
can't
okay.
directly start with minus. You have to
Yes.
solve ID raised to num, then num into ID, and then whatever this result into ID, and then you have to subtract. So if
Okay,
you
got
see
it.
evaluation, you'll get the correct one. So start with the terminal symbol or token, set of non-terminals. Non-terminals are replaced by terminals or the rules right hand side. So this is left hand side should have only one non-terminal. Right hand side you can have terminals as well as non-terminal symbols. And whenever you create a parse tree, in each step you have to replace a non-terminal by rule, right hand side of that non-terminal symbol. Now here, start symbol is, if we have more than one non-terminal symbols, you have to specify the start symbol from which you can start with writing the parse tree or derivation. So to generate a string of terminal symbols of CFG, if you can note the leaf nodes of this parse tree are always terminal symbols. So ID raised to num minus num star ID. You should get that particular string. So begin with a string consist of start symbol. Apply one production with start symbol on the left hand side. Replace start symbol with right hand side of the production and repeat till you get all non-terminal symbols or the complete string. This is CFG, context free grammar. And if you want to write in the form of BNF, that is Backus normal NOR form. So instead of this arrow, you have to use colon and equal to. So this colon and equal to symbol is used often used for instead of this left hand side arrow. It is called can be. And vertical bar is used for or. So we can add all these expressions on a one line. So here non-terminal symbols are enclosed with these triangular brackets. This is the non-terminal symbol. So non-terminal is equal to terminal or non-terminal. For example, capital S is a non-terminal, 0 S1 or 0 1. This is a shorthand for either this production can go to 0 S1 or 0 1. For example, in this case, instead of writing E goes to num, E goes to ID, I can write here vertical bar and write here num. So this means or. Actually, these are two different productions. E goes to id, E goes to num. Instead of writing on different lines, you can write it on a same line, putting vertical bar in between. So this is a BNF grammar for real numbers. Real numbers means floating point numbers. So if you want to define a grammar for floating point number, so how you can define it? So how to define a floating point number? Suppose 12.25. So this can be any number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. So how you can write a grammar which can identify a floating point number or real number? So real number you can see here, it is in BNF form. So this number is called real number. So non-terminal symbols are real number, integer part, fraction and digit. And these are the terminals. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 8 and 9. So it can be any digit between 0 to 9. So first we have to define a digit. Digit is any character, it can appear more than once, 0 to 9. So this is integer part and this is fraction part. So we call it as integer part dot fraction part. Now integer part we can have digit and again integer part. Digit or integer part, which is integer part followed by digit. This is for recursion we are using. And this fraction is also digit and fraction followed by digit or digit followed by fraction. So that's it. So you can see here, this is integer. Integer can be digit or integer digit. So this is digit and this is part is integer again. Now again this part is digit and this part is integer. At the end you can replace whatever the digit one with digit. And in this case this is a fraction, digit followed by fraction. Again this digit followed by fraction and this fraction can be followed by digit. So don't get confused. I'll write the actual grammar here. So real number, I'll just type real. Real is equal to colon equal to, sorry, 2 colon equal to, or it is just like an arrow. Then integer, integer dot and fraction. Integer part dot and fraction. Now we have to define for integer. What is integer? We have to provide a rule. What we can call integer? Integer can be a single digit. We can have more than one digits. So or it can be integer followed by digit. So integer followed by digit. Digit is again in a triangular bracket. Then what is fraction? Fraction is also a digit, can be a single digit. I can have 1.1 where 1 is integer part, this 1 is fraction part, and for integer I can replace 1 by digit and this is by digit. Or digit followed by fraction. And what is digit? Digit can be any number between 1, 2, 3. It can be 0 to up to 9. So this is
So
a
basically everything is a digit only, no?
yeah, but only writing digit will not create a floating point number. This dot, how you
Ma'am,
can
I
create?
don't actually understand the whole concept. Like, why is this there?
Yeah, this is there because this is internal part of a compiler. How compiler understand that whatever you have written is a floating point number. So this is the grammar which compiler match with your number.
Okay, ma'am. And this int digit and int fraction. So what exactly is that? Why can't we just write digit and fraction, like or integer and
These,
fraction? Why
these
should
are
we?
these are the rules because we can write integer and fraction and then it will be just one digit. We want we can have any number of digits here, any number of digits here. So it should match with any floating point number. I can write a floating point number like this, 0.15. It should match with this. I can write a floating, I should able to write a floating point number like this. This grammar should define all these strings which are matching with floating point number or real number.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes?
for the end, what is difference between digit and in digit?
This one and this one, no?
Ma'am, you wrote digit or in digit, right? For the
Digit
integer.
or int digit. So I'm coming to that. Suppose you have to convert this number to parse tree using these rules. Can you do that? Can you create a parse tree for this number 12.45 using this grammar?
Ma'am, I actually didn't get the difference of int and digit.
This int and digit, no? This int and fraction, these are non-terminal symbols. Real, int and digit, fraction, these are non-terminal symbols, digit. And 0, 1, 2, 9, these are terminal symbols. So how to convert any number to what we can say parse tree or syntactic form? So here, for example, in this case, let's talk about 12.45. So 12.45, this complete number is real number. So we can write here. So we can start with a real. Real is our
Ma'am, we
start
can't
symbol.
see above. So can you like?
This is not possible. Okay. So this is your grammar. Grammar is on the slide. So I'll rub this part. So what is a start symbol? Start symbol is real. Then we have only one production with real start symbol, that is integer part and fraction. So it is integer. I am just using a short form because of the space, then dot, and then fraction. Okay. This integer part is my int dot fraction. So for replacing this real number, real, which is my start symbol, I am using this production right hand side of the production rule, which is int dot fraction. Now what is int? Int, I can replace it by digit, only one digit, but I have here more than one. So I have to choose this part, integer and digit. Are you getting? This means or. If we have 1.2 or 1.3, then I have chosen this production. But here I have more than one digits on left hand side of the dot. So here, instead of these two, we have these two productions, integer going to digit or integer going to integer and digit. So I'm choosing this production, integer and digit. Okay, then again this integer, if I have one more value here, 5 suppose, I can choose integer and digit. But I just have two values. So this integer can be replaced by digit. I'll choose this production, integer going for a digit. So this value is 1, this value is 2. Then same thing for fraction. Here fraction, I can choose digit followed by fraction or just a digit. If I choose digit, it will only one variable, sorry, one number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I want two numbers here. So I can choose digit and fraction. And now this fraction can go for digit. So this digit is 4 and this digit is 5. So you are getting a number 12.45. So what is a parse tree? Each leaf node is labeled as terminal or empty node. These are terminals 1, 2.45. Each leaf node is labeled as non-terminal. So inner nodes, digit, int, fraction, real, these are non-terminals. Root is labeled with the starting non-terminal symbol. So start symbol is real. Children of the node from left to right or up right side. So we have to read this tree from left to right. For example, for this number 123.789. Again, this integer we can replace by digit and integer. And this digit is 1. This integer is digit again. So real number, integer dot fraction. Integer is integer and digit. This integer is again integer and digit. And this integer is digit. So we can go for any, on left hand side we can have any integer numbers. On right hand side of dot we can have any floating point or fraction numbers. So that's why for a recursive purpose we have to create this rule, integer and digit. And this integer can be where to stop. This integer can be replaced by digit where you have to stop. Same thing for fraction. You can replace this fraction with a digit or replace this fraction with digit and fraction. So this is a recursion. Any floating point number you can put, you can use these grammar rules to draw a parse tree. If parse tree is available for that particular variable number, that means your program is syntactically correct. But if you write this instead of 1 dot, 2 dots, or you can just type 0.45, it will not match with our grammar rule. Our grammar int cannot be a blank in this case. But if you provide a rule where int can go for blank or empty string, which is defined by an epsilon, then you can match 0.45 with this grammar. So anything which is not matching with this grammar, instead of number, if you provide a, it will throw an error, syntax error or grammar error.
Ma'am, I have one doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, in like Indian system of naming, we use commas like
Yeah.
10 lakhs, comma 10,000, comma the 100,000 ones.
Hmm.
So the compiler won't understand those commas.
Correct. No, it won't understand. In a programming language, whenever you assign any variable to value to a variable, we didn't use commas.
Okay, ma'am.
If you
So what if we get an output, like input such that the number has comma? So how should we eliminate that? Because then it will like not run the program only, no?
So you have to write a function which will convert that string into integers.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Or you can write your own language which allows commas.
Own language, ma'am. That is like too far now.
What we are learning is language design principles. So you can come up with your own version of a language. So about ambiguity, we'll talk in the next lecture. I hope this is sufficient for today. And try to get different parse trees for the same string. Try different numbers. You have a grammar with you. I'll make the slides visible. So what you can do, take any floating point number and try to draw a parse tree for that number using this grammar. Okay? In next lecture, we'll talk about what is ambiguity and how to come up with the solution or how to eliminate that ambiguity from a grammar. Grammar should not be ambiguous.